Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Krashy, and today we're going to dive into an updated build guide for Greystone. Now, this is going to be specifically like a bruiser damage build. I'll talk a little bit about a tank build, and I think that there is something going on with Greystone that I'm really liking, so I want to talk a little bit about it. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So first and foremost, with the crest option, I think that obviously naturally with a bruiser build, we're going to be going something like the warrior crest, but I'm going to go ahead and spit this out there as well, even with this build, and I'm going to explain why. Saphir's Mantle is good. So if you want to go a little bit tankier with it, if that's just your preference, Saphir's Mantle is very good. I've been testing Judgment. I'm going to be honest, I kind of like it. I kind of don't like it. I like that you can spam it. You can essentially spam this thing the whole game. I'm just not sure I'm sold on it yet. So kind of Judgment with a grain of salt. Otherwise, Icecorn Talons is like the way to go, right? All the crests having the same stats doesn't really play into effect anymore. And this increases your movement speed and your physical power, which is phenomenal on Greystone. I don't know that this gives enough staying power and doesn't have damage for me to consider it, even on such a low cooldown. And later in the game, like I've literally popped this like twice in a team fight. I don't think that it's as viable as Icecorn Talons. I'm gonna get that out of the way, but you know, for your potential to play around with if you'd like to. So first and foremost, we're going to filter by physical power, and I'm going to show you the first item we're going with, which is actually not one of his recommendeds, which is interesting, and we're going back to the Overlord. We're going back to the Overlord, and I want to tell you why. When you start the game with a short sword, you only need 1,000 gold. It used to be 950, 1,000 gold to finish the Barbaric Cleaver. It used to be 950 gold, and when you would finish a full sequence, meaning you full clear your jungle, you wouldn't have enough unless you kind of hung around or, ganked a lane or took a river buff or something like that, or killed a ward to actually get the 950 gold. When you full sequence now, you ended about like 1,050, 1,060 gold. You can instantly Barbaric Cleaver after your first clear, and then you can finish the Overlord. Now, this item, it definitely is like a scaling item, so to speak, but it helps you farm. And here's the thing about Greystone. He is a farming jungler. He's not really a ganking jungler. You kind of want to scale him. You want to take the 1v1, the jungle 1v1 a lot more often than not, and you want to be invading and using your leap to, escape the invades. Invade the 5 camp, jump over the wall. Invade the 2 camp, jump over the wall. Things of that nature. And so you want to be invading a lot on Greystone. You want to be stealing farm and taking a lead by full sequencing whenever the enemy jungler goes for ganks, gets, unsuccessful ganks. Whenever you're able to take farm from him, you can go back to your side full sequence. So you're constantly trying to take a farm lead on Greystone jungle, and I'm finding a lot of success using Overlord for that, for the reason of the build that we're building, because of the bludgeon gain 2.5% health as physical power, and also because of the fact that you actually clear fast because of the cleave effect. So again, Saphir's Mantle or Icecorn Talons are really good with this because of the additional health that you can put into the Overlord. And then we're going to start building that foundational damage that we always build, which is his best item in the game, no matter what build you're going. Basilisk. I think even with a tank build, I'm probably going to second build Basilisk because I just think it's that damn good on him. Basilisk obviously is an item. I'm still doing this like a build guide, so I'm going to explain the items, especially since they've changed. But Overlord, for the sake of saying, lots of health, lots of damage, cleave effect, and then brings 2.5% of your physical or of your health as physical power. Basilisk, this is your damage shred haste item. 45 physical power, 300 health, 15 ability haste, corrode, reduce physical armor by 4% for 3 seconds, stacks up to 6 times, and this is on damaging a hero. At 6 stacks, they become eroded. So at a they become eroded. So imminence, when basic attacking eroded heroes, deal 3% of the target's missing health. This is health shred. This is haste. It's health. It's damage. This is essentially pen, right? Because you're shredding down the physical armor, and it's on damaging a hero. So as you turn on your Q, your make way ability, as you're whirlwinding them, you're shredding their armor. You're doing damage, and then while you're basic attacking that target, you're shredding down their health of their 3% of their missing health as well. This is a huge damage item, and the reason why I'm going back to Bruiser Greystone is because of Earthshaker. Earthshaker third slot is 300 physical power, 300 health, 30 physical power, 30% attack speed, which is nice, right? Like 30% attack speed is nice, and also kind of plays into the imminence passive. So as you're kind of, running at people that are eroded, and whenever you have the 6 stacks, then you are, kind of shredding their health more, their missing health. And it says Battleborn on dealing damage to heroes or monsters. So this is not going to work on lane minions, but heroes, monsters, jungle objectives. Increase your ability damage dealt by 1% for 3 seconds, stacking up to 15 times. So as you're auto attacking, oh, and then melee heroes stack this twice as fast. So you turn on your Q, you're auto attacking, you get the auto attack reset with your E ability, and you're stacked up to 15 times. You basically start a rotation of damage. You're stacked up to 15 times. That's 15% additional ability damage on your Q. You're going to be dealing a lot of damage around them. That Q is, eroding them. Your auto attacks and your attack speed is shredding through their missing health. You are doing a lot of damage, all while cleaving and pushing the additional health that you're getting from these items into your power as well. So this is a really strong 3-slot foundation for damage dealing. Now, here's the thing with Greystone. He's inherently hard to kill just because of the ultimate, but this is kind of a squishy build, so you have to play the ultimate just right. And after that is where, like with this 3 slots, this is where the build really is right here. This and the Icecorn Talons. Then you got to start making decisions about what you need, right? I think if it's a game where you need Tainted, you start building Tainted online. If it's a game that has some good magic damage and you want to run at them, Crystalline Cuirass, a beautiful item, right? Crystalline Cuirass, obviously 250 health, 40 magic armor, 75 base health regen. You gain a stack of Celestite on taking magical damage, stack up to 6 times. Stacks can only be gained once every 0.5 seconds, and then gain additional magic armor, 5 magic armor per stack, and then at 6 stacks you gain 15% movement speed. This is obviously great for Greystone because you want to run them down, right? You want to run at them and stick on top of them. If you're, like I said, taking a lot of physical damage, if you want to be more aggressive, Elefrost is obviously a great option. But if you're taking a lot of physical damage, you really want to keep yourself alive while doing the damage you're already doing. Stonewall is a great option. I don't think I personally would put Elefrost in this build just because of the fact that you already do enough damage. You don't really need like one of the tanky damage dealing items. You're doing a ton of damage with this 3 slot. Something like Stonewall is great. 200 health or 250 health, 55 fizz armor, and then you're going to mitigate a bunch of physical damage. This is just straight up tank item, right? Like you really, really like this item. So something like this is really, really solid. You definitely can get away with it. And honestly, I've been saying this for a little bit, and it's something I definitely want to mess around with. Salvation, I think 6 slot could be a really interesting kind of tech end because this is 40 physical power, 425 health, which is a lot of health. So that's going to play into your Overlord. 20% tenacity, that's pretty cool, right? Kind of throw it out on top, but on going below 40% health, you gain a 22% health shield for 6 seconds, reduced to 50% effectiveness for ranged heroes, which doesn't matter for us in this scenario, and then you gain 10% Omnivamp for 6 seconds. So you're actually going to be healing yourself a decent bit on top of the Omnivamp that you're going to have from your crest, which is 4%. You're going to be healing yourself a little bit on your Q while you're doing that damage, and then you'll be getting a massive health shield, or obviously you could get another tank item, which I'm not actually sure which mitigation would be better. A gigantic 22% health shield while also bringing yourself additional damage and a little bit of tenacity, which is great, or actually just building another tank item. And also keep in mind something that you could slot in instead of Stonewall, because I think that this item, it's not recommended. I think it's super, super good on Greystone, is Citadel. Do not sleep on Citadel. This item is still very good. Citadel is a 35 fizz armor, 200 health, 35 fizz power, 35 fizz armor, 200 health, and then fortification, you gain 5 physical armor for each nearby enemy hero. So that's up to an additional 5 times 5, 25 armor. So that's 30, an additional 25, that would be 40, that's 60 physical armor potential that you could have. And then nearby enemy heroes have their physical armor decreased by 20%. So it's effectively a little bit of penetration as well, because you're just reducing their armor. And not only are you reducing their armor for the damage that you're going to do, but for your teammates as well. This is a beautiful item on Greystone. If you're not feeling like you're getting shredded, I would drop the Stonewall and probably slot this instead. If you're really, really getting taken down, Stonewall is probably the way to go. And again, keep in mind, third, fourth slot, these are interchangeable. You want to build the core 3, I think. Third, fourth slot, pretty interchangeable. And then, like I said, your last item, your fifth, sixth item is always just going to be whatever you need. If you're still getting shredded, throw in the Stonewall. If you want to do a little bit more damage and you're just really ahead, throw in the Salvation, I think it's definitely a solid option. I haven't done anything with Gaia Greaves. I know that it's recommended. I think it's just because it's new. I haven't really messed around with Gaia Greaves. But this build shreds. Like, this build does a ton of damage, and you're inherently tanky. That's the beauty of it. Again, Sapphire's Mantle would work just fine with this build because you're going to be stacking a bunch of additional health. That'll give you a little bit more tankiness if you feel like you play this build and you're not really feeling the Icecorn Talons or something, which I haven't even played it with Icecorn Talons cooldowns yet, technically, but I think that that's the direction I'm going to go with it, because additional move speed, running at them with additional power, why wouldn't I want to do that? But you just run people down with this build. You have this disgusting core 3 damage bruiser build, and you're bringing some really phenomenal stats on top of it. This is honestly the direction I want to take it personally. I can definitely go tankier if I need to, but this is inherently a bruiser build with like one tank magic item, but we got fighter items pretty much across the board, right? So this is it's going to be a really nice build. Currently, let's go ahead and look at the stats. I just want to show you all the stats whenever I'm like max level or something. Why not, right? So let's look at it just for the sake of saying it's, and I'll factor in the crest like haste at minimum, because I'm not going to go farm the crest because I don't want to, because I'm lazy. But let's take a look at this really quickly. All right, so let's take a look at the stats. We have 342 physical power, 157.2% attack speed, 111 physical armor, 90 magic armor, 4866 max health, 10% regen, 2% lifesteal, 1145 max mana, 3.2% mana regen, 15 haste, which would be what is the crest up to? So keep this in mind, right? Oh, that doesn't have any haste on it anymore. So we would have 4% Omnivamp, 100 additional health, 12 additional power. So 15 haste, not a crazy amount of haste, but not really the point of this build, really. I mean, it would be nice to be able to spam the Q a little bit more, so you could even go with some tanky items that are going to bring you some haste. Like, that could potentially be a better option, just to get a little bit of, like, physical armor and haste. Like, we could build, basically, I don't know, we'd probably build something like Elefrost or Tainted Guard if you wanted a little bit more haste, or even the Fist of Razul, which I haven't quite messed around with a lot yet. So, and this is probably going to be a nice item because of the heal that you get. So I need to mess around with this item a little bit more. Keep this in the pocket as well. Friends, this is what I'm thinking as like a core build right now. This is feeling really dominant for me in jungle. I got a lot of work to do to come out with new builds and to keep testing things. I need about a week, probably, maybe even more, to make up like a solid opinion about the jungle and the different things that we're going to be building and playing in this upcoming meta, or in the current meta. So friends, drop a like on the video, subscribe to future Predecessor content. I definitely do appreciate it. As always, be sure to comment, let us know you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.